Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Weekly Recruit. I'm your host, Enders, along with my co hosts, Clancy,
Hello. I'm sick.
Milky,
Yo,
and Noah.
Mm.
What's up? What's up?
Also joining us, we have two guests this time. We have Mickwick from UPS,
sup guys?
and we have Low Seal from WET, formerly of AVI.
Formally in there.
Formerly.
He's also on
The
his phone. We should probably
It also
confess
is on
this.
the phone.
Like,
yes.
like we said before recording, it wouldn't be a Weekly Recruit without two things: one, leaking information; two, crappy audio quality due to internet issues.
Yeah.
No, they're performing planned maintenance in my area.
Oh, do you have Spectrum?
Mm.
That makes so much sense.
Maybe.
Hey, let's
That makes
go,
so much
Spectrum
sense.
gang. What the fuck is
Glad
good
I didn't
internet
you.
service?
Guys, I'm stuck with Comcast, please.
Oh God,
Spectrum
nice
mentioned
All
raw.
right,
Anyway.
let's yeah, go ahead, Anders.
So we do have a running order to this. We're going to start talking about the games, get some of the vibes out, go into our guests, talk a bit about them. Mickwick, you've been on before. Losi, I don't think we had you last season because way too many AVI people. Uh, and then we're going to end off with power rankings. So that's the running order tonight. For the first time ever in Weekly Recruit, we have almost every single stat. Obviously, stats are broken, but we got a big cast of crew here and then bugged other people who weren't in so we can get stats for those games. So leveling up.
Absolutely. Moving up in the world.
We're getting semi-professional. Also, we have a new everything, I want to say, Clancy. We got new look, new logo, new everything, it feels like. And I must say, the seats are mighty comfortable and heated.
Yeah, you're welcome. I made them myself. Dude,
Keep my tush nice and
hold
warm.
on. Can I vent about Photoshop for a bit?
Yeah,
go ahead.
like,
Take a couple minutes.
Jesus fucking Christ. How the fuck is a program? How is this a industry leading program? It is so fucking to understand. Like, now I understand why there's like college classes on Photoshop proficiency, because goddamn, it feels like I'm flying a 737 trying to figure out how to make a fucking smart object to make this shit make sense. I was literally screaming on my hands and knees, begging to the Lord, like, why the fuck is this program so fucking stupid? Anyway, that's my tiny rant. I hate this.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm just glad to know all the budget didn't go to the host. You guys actually got new seats here.
Yeah, I mean, our seats are well worn, partially because we're here a lot. But I mean, hopefully, you can't take the seats with you, Losi. You can't. Sorry, they got to stay here. We don't have the budget for new seats every show.
But what about the ones already in my car? I mean, when you
We're
put a
gonna need
Secret
those
Labs
back.
out, like it's gonna go.
Yeah, we're gonna need those back.
Sorry.
I know, Noah, you wanted to talk about some games first, and I'll let you take over the order of games we want to talk about.
Absolutely. In no particular order, I think to start the night off, being with our only OT game of the night for match day one, I think we segue into the ATL and Cal game. We got a score of 16-12 in favor of ATL there. Definitely a game I think was perspective to be the game of the night.
Yep.
Just with the players and the culture of both teams, especially coming out of last season, everyone kind of wanted to see where Cal was going to end up with their changes and things like that leading into the season. Unfortunately, they're not starting off too great. 0-1, almost a similar story to how it happened last season.
Yeah.
But of course, I am rooting for them.
I think
At the
we
end of the
all
day.
are. I mean, short of the Cal memes, which are funny, but also we want to see people improve. And Cal obviously made a huge shift, only kept two people from their season from last season.
Yeah.
But also with that, I mean, 12-16, talking about Noble, it feels like Noble and me are destined to do this forever. Starting the season off in an OT game, it just feels destined to happen forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of the OT game, I mean, not only talking about going the distance, but also just I mean, on that OT side, ATL was able to just close out all 4 rounds, not even giving a chance to Cal to even
Got the
try to
door.
fight back. I mean, you brought it out of regulation and said, "Yep, you don't get to play anymore. We're going to close you out." I mean,
Yep.
taking a deep dive into these stats. Of course, we don't have stats brought to you by the CSC website, but what we do have is, like Enders mentioned earlier, a powerful crew and cast. Taking a deep dive into some screenshots that we're looking at. Starting off fresh here. I mean, Enders whopping out a 38 kill game. I mean, can't get much better than that.
29 at
Have
the end of regulation.
they have been hearing the 29 in reg is a crazy stat there. And then, tacking on all the extra kills in OT definitely helps. I can see that probably was the main driving factor there in terms of your team success. Kind of just went ahead and put that team on your back there for you.
No, not really. I couldn't have done it without my boys.
Well, that's always
Without
good.
them setting me up. Couldn't have done it without them.
We love a humble top frag. I think a lot of people were really excited to see that what you could bring to the table, Enders. We all know you for your yapping ability, but I don't think everyone knows you for your gunplay ability, and I think you showed that to everyone tonight that you can bring those high numbers when needed, and it showed there tonight.
Yeah, I
Um,
think one of the things I heard was talking about the other group, the Stay Recruit. I know in their preseason video they were like, we're not sure how Enders is going to perform because he's had a ton of time off. But just because I was hurt doesn't mean I wasn't around the game. And when I came back, I started grinding harder than ever. Wanted to come back and show that yes, I can yap, but I'm going to back it up as best I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, with that being said, I mean, I wouldn't even say that this game necessarily looks like a 16-12 victory because, I mean, on both sides of the ball there, you guys kept it really even, 6-6 on both half. I mean, you couldn't really play a more even game if you wanted to. So I'm really shocked. I guess this is a question for you, Enders. Of course, don't dive too hard
Don't
into
dip into the strats bag.
your strategy too much, but I mean, how do you come out in a 12-12, a basically completely even game and just close out? I mean, like, was it just a change of pace or was it just a change of
No,
strategy or
I saw a lot of what was working in the regulation, and I was like, cool, if we can do that and force the issue,
Mhm.
it's gonna be great. And as for my strategy for this game, I went in with a chip on my shoulder. I noticed Colty, big friend over here. He released preseason way too early awards guesses, and I saw
Mhm.
that I wasn't brought up in anything, and I took that personally.
You were brought up in one thing.
I wasn't
don't know
brought up in anything. I
I don't know
wasn't.
if you saw it. Yeah, in the MVP
Yep.
section, it said
Anyone but
Anyone but
Enders.
Enders. And that was I
like,
saw the
oh,
anyone but Enders.
disrespect.
I was like, cool. Took that personally, and not to steal things because I know I steal quotes, but to steal something from wrestling, I brought out ruthless aggression tonight, and obviously it worked.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, you absolutely did show it there. A great output brought to you by the ATL team there. I do look forward, as I said, to what Cal can bring for the rest of the season, and also this ATL team. And starting off 1-0 is a fantastic start to the season. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do. I think.
I mean, we can't not
Performance of
talk about
Siegel.
Siegel dropping 30, but like he was going off. Fresh had his moments. Noble on the op is he's good. He was where you didn't want him
Was
to be.
opping.
Yes, Noble was upping that game, and he was wherever we thought he wasn't. He was wherever the fuck we didn't want to be.
Was Scary calling for your team?
Scary was calling. I was calling. Ruby had some calls, but Ruby obviously, I'm not sure if he was feeling under the weather, but he did sound a little weird, so we thought he might have been sick, at least with his voice. So I took over some of the calls. Scary did. Ruby obviously throws in. I think that's the thing that's going to separate us is that everybody feels comfortable and we're not like setting like you have to listen to this guy. If you have an idea before the round starts, we're willing to try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's one round. We can come back from one round.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I was gonna say, I think we kind of segue into the next game here.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be Hawks 8 and who wants to kind of Take the reins
Bugs
on
in
that
hell.
one.
I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, Noah, you won 13-9 on Anubis. That was one of your maps that we saw in preseason. At least ATL, you played us in preseason, and that's the map you took us to. Not sure, was it in your map pool last season?
It was in our map pool last season. Of course, Anubis, I think as a whole has kind of felt a better warm place in a lot of recruits' hearts. He's played a lot last season. He's played a lot in combines. I think it's good as just a pocket map to keep in a lot of teams' pockets. I feel like most people are pretty comfortable on it, and that's kind of where the map bans went for tonight's game. Of course, it's still early on. You don't really want to show your
Up
your
tier
hand too early. So throwing in like a pocket map is pretty useful, especially starting out.
I mean, I know there was some talk about the possibility that you with UIGLing and also coming down, it wouldn't have shocked anybody if you top fragged. But also,
Yeah.
you're surrounded by great fraggers in Clancy and Colty. How does it feel for you, at least, to come in, grab the bull by the horns, and top frag that game?
I mean, to be honest with you, just because I have such great stars on the team themselves, we kind of all have had the mindset of, if one of us isn't feeling too great or we're having an off day, outside of the game, we just switch our mindset. We take it from, hey, I got to be the star player this game, to, okay, let me see what I can do to support my other 2 or 3 stars that I have on the team. And I think that's one thing that we do really well. Shout out Colty. I think that happened this game alone. We have the type of players where in those first 4 or 5 rounds, you can kind of find out who's hot and who's not, and being able to switch that mindset. I mean, I think I started off that game, correct me if I'm wrong, Clancy, I think it was like 10-1. Like I was just on a heater. Like, so,
Yeah.
I think my teammates around me looked at that, could see the vibes that were going on, and decided to, okay, well, Noah can kind of take the reins a little bit. I'll still be my player, be the player I need to be, but I'll kind of settle more into the support on how I can support Noah in the rounds.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk preseason about, hey, who is going to be your 5th? Because you've got Dirt, you've got Colty, Clancy, and obviously yourself, and that's a lot of them are locked up in 4 players. You go out, you basically tell to the world, hey, we're drafting Draco. And Draco obviously gets picked up by Frog, I think.
Yes.
And then gets traded later on to Deadbeats.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, obviously you had to have a backup plan, but like, was Draco getting picked up? How big of a blow was that for you guys?
It was pretty tough. I mean, I think we talked about it in our preseason as well video, but being in the position that we were in, of course, you have to have backups, especially as a draft as a whole. I mean, there was 30 recruits that were ineligible come day of draft. So I think a lot of people's draft strategies were kind of just taken to the curb. So there was a lot of players picked up way earlier than I anticipated. And fortunately, I was able to find Sweeper still down there when I needed. And I mean, shout out Sweeper. He's become an excellent player for us. He's putting the time and effort in the game. It's really impressive, to be honest with you. I look forward to what he can do. And I mean, he's impressed me every single day that we play together. And I think he's a real sleeper pick. Like I said, I mean, Sweeper, sleeper, it's one and the same.
I do have to say, though, Sapphire, one of the bigger names around here, I know not a lot of us have this opinion that she's the end-all be-all opper, but for the people who think she is that might be watching this, Nitro, higher tier players who might be watching this, Sapphire getting 13 and 10 didn't seem that much of a threat to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I'll give you a little sneak peek in the game, and this will go to all the teams that we play in the future. But your boy's out here, and I mean, Hell played probably Anubis 5 out of the 6 games of preseason, and I did not let that go to waste. I basically scripted every round. I mean, Sapphire, I think she's a great player. I think she has a really good way to adapt to the game. But I mean, in that Anubis game, she was doing everything that she did all the other 5 matches. So all I had to do was say, hey, this is where Saf's going to play, because she is a very dangerous piece on the field. And being able to kind of single her out and play around where she plays basically makes her not be able to play the game that she wants to, which I think was really good in our favor. Also, with that being said, I mean, I don't really think they ever had the eco to really be able to get her an op every single round.
I mean-
Most rounds we were making it really expensive for them.
It does look like that. 2 wins for 2 for Hawks, 1 for Acolytes. Doesn't look, at least over here, that they got enough money. Maybe on their T side they might have, but it doesn't really look like they had enough rounds put together to get Sapphire an op. Sapphire with an op it can be frightening, but if you know what to do, I mean, it's the same thing you do for all oppers. If you do the right things to get an opper off an angle, it's not that hard of a fight. And obviously, AVI, I assume you guys have practiced how to get oppers off of angles and how to deal with oppers.
Yeah.
And it shows. Able to basically nullify Sapphire there.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, peek into what we can do. I mean, like I said, like you mentioned before, I mean, Saph is a big name, and I think in terms of her opping ability, it is near the top of the tier. And so, I mean, basically, having a player just not be able to play the game how they want to play is so crucial in benefiting, your team. With that also being said, I mean, I think that they put up a really good fight, to be honest with you. I thought we were going to win a couple more rounds than we did. And I mean, they came out and won more than I thought. So congrats to them. I mean, they were shooting us pretty hard, and I mean, they all had their own individual moments and things like that. They just couldn't get the ball rolling fast enough. I think that was their downfall that game.
Yeah. Next match up, what do we got?
I think that's gonna be UCL, so that's gonna be the wet 13-0 against the Rift Raiders there. You want to kind of take a dive into that, Seal?
Well, our dive was a pretty shallow swim when you come out in under 30 minutes. But to not trash talk too much here, I find it fun little tips, but not too many things.
Little trips are fun.
Everything that we wanted to do, we were able to do. We opened on a strong pistol. We started T. We chose Anubis as our opening map on the way all the bans went down. Sort of as Noah points out, Anubis is popular, so everybody's ready to go on it. They know the calls, they know which side to go to. And then we were luckily gifted T as our opening side, and
on Anubis, it's very T side. Same with Ancient, which I think I didn't get to talk about, but we got T side first on Ancient.
And when you're gifted those and you know how to make your entries onto site, it doesn't matter if you've got map control, if you get an entry onto the site.
Yeah.
And when that just works, when your team is just firing, when your entry hits the shot and you're able to then put 2 and 3 more people behind him, it's really hard to stop that as one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys played a fantastic game. I mean,
so
13. Oh, go ahead, Anders.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say 13-0 is not an easy feat. I know that we have 2 tonight, but I mean, we didn't have any last season, and I'm sure that that's making
We
you
had
guys
some
feel.
16 ones, I think. 16 ones and a couple 13 ones.
Well, we didn't have any 16 ones because it was
Yes,
only
we did.
We only played CS.
Yeah, we did.
Once.
Yes, we did.
No.
Yeah,
The first match night,
that
Nan
first match
and OS.
That was 13-1.
No, that was on
It was
CS:GO last
16.
season.
Oh,
It was 16.
First match day was
right?
remember
my
the first match day
apologies.
was on Gal.
Well, anyways, we didn't have a 13-0, and 13-0 is a lot more impressive than 13-1, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Because you're literally holding them to no movement whatsoever.
everything's working.
Yeah. With that being said, I mean, of course, same kind of question with Enders. I don't want to have you deep dive too much into it, but I think Synthronics is your caller, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, Synth is calling for us his first season in the league.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Fairly new to the game, based on hours just playing. But he has a mind for the game, and it is working out well for us.
So So there's a couple of storylines going into this game. First and foremost, you drop Cool Guy at the beginning of the, or you drop Cool Guy. I think what preseason match day 2 or 3.
After
Drop
preseason,
Cool Guy. Oh, after preseason, you drop Cool Guy. You pick up Synthronix, who came from ATL.
Yep.
And then Cool Guy ends up subbing in for Riff Raiders on this.
Yep,
First and
we
foremost,
also-
you guys seem to be taking good care of Synthronix. Thank you for that. Guy's great, love him. But like, did you feel any when you saw that Cool Guy was subbing? Was there a thought in your head of like, we're gonna fuck him up?
So the other half of the storyline that I think you're going to mention is, so Cool Guy we cut after preseason 2, and it was a tough cut, especially as a keeper and especially as an IGL from the previous season. Unfortunately, in the preseason, he really wasn't showing the numbers that we needed. But even more so, our sixth cut, our sixth man down to 5 was Dr. Peary, who was then also picked up by DB. So with the sub of Cool Guy, we had 2 former missed players playing against us. Now, I wasn't ready to say that we were going to fuck them up. We're a new team. I'm working with some new DEs. We're synergizing, but in all honesty, I wasn't sure that we were going to come out of the gate as fast as we did and as together as a team as we did, and it turned into just this rush of a game. Even though there was 2 13-0s, finishing first in about half an hour is just a testament to how consistent my guys were in taking those initial picks. Right? It's the whether you peak them first or they peak you first. We were winning those more often than not in those opening duels as we defile up key to compressing on the site, especially when you start T on a T set.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it, it's one of those things that the storylines are great and all, but like, you pick up Synthronix, and I know he did very well. I think we played 1 match of Anubis with him, and we did very well. And it's nice to see him find a home. So thanks very much for that. And obviously, the calls seem to be working tonight. You play a team who they've had a bit of issues. Obviously, they lose Dewey in the trade. They are pretty much all new DEs except Rymaster.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for a group of new DEs to kind of do that. We saw that last season with Cow. But I mean, obviously, you go out and you win the game. Airglow topped it with damage. You obviously topped it with kills. You're opping, correct, Losiel? I'm not incorrect for thinking that? You're opping.
Yeah.
Is there anything from that game that you're just like, this team might win it all?
This team could win it all, even though we don't necessarily have the fancy look of it. If you did a power rankings on our team, I think we would sit mid-tier. I think we're good. I think that from the outset you'd say this team makes playoffs, but I think they're going to struggle late in with some of those refined teams and those more hardened teams, like AVI for instance. 4 great players coming back in. You're looking at them and going, that's a team that we expect to make. But when my guys come out there and when not only is our communication on point, we're backing each other up, we're there for trades, and my entries are hitting those frags, hitting those heads, you say it's kind of hard to stop that. If you're gonna win the aim fight, you're gonna be communicating and support your teammates. So even if your entry doesn't get the kill, it's followed up with a trade and then a take of the site. You could say that there's not really a team that's going to be able to stop that if that's what they're going to go against every time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
We all love talking about the storylines and who we think's going to make playoffs, and even better, who's going to win championships. This Mist team obviously has a history in the Recruit tier. They make finals in the first season of Recruit. Last season, they make playoffs, end up losing to a team that made the finals. This season looks like they're going to make playoffs again, which is, I know a certain member of our team or our squad here at the Weekly Recruit isn't the biggest fan of Wet. I think "fuck Wet" is his slogan, But
Yeah, but
it's very hard.
It's not Fuck Steel though. So
No, no,
Well,
no, no, no.
I will say that from the person that I may know who may or may not have an opinion of Wet, at least we know he's not gonna fuck dry. I mean, come on.
What I will say
well,
though is it seems very hard to argue against that Wet is arguably one of the most successful franchises in recruit tier. Obviously, overall, that probably goes to UPS because they're dominant in almost every tier. But when you look at recruit, I don't think there's a team that hasn't made playoffs but Wet. No, UPS made it. But like
So I think you can.
Wet is up there
But,
with one of those teams you look at and it's like that's a recruit team that has pedigree.
I think that is something that does stand out. In fact, when you come in, traded in the off season, looking for that new home and finding one here in Wet, you then hear that Wet has made playoffs all the seasons that it's been here, and been one of, if not the top rated franchise in wins per season. It's a lot to live up to, but but just to say, it's easy when the team around you holds up every other piece of you. If you just have to hold your head and everyone else has got your arms and your legs and they're just moving you through like a Titanfall Titan, it doesn't matter who's in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of, I know you mentioned earlier, I think that was a great game on Wet, but I am going to be curious. Mickwick, I know you are here as our guest. The UPS game, 13-9, losing out to Nan there on Vertigo. I mean, the round differential it's there, 4 rounds is not too much. You could probably chalk that up to maybe if you get one more eco or maybe you win one more round, it could turn the tide the other way. So I'm interested to kind of just pick your brain. What did you think about the game personally?
So I got a full disclosure kind of deal. A lot of my friends are over on NAN, right? A lot of us play together, we played a lot together during combines, and it's one of those things where it's like, we all know where we play, we all know what we do, we played our game, right? Like we forgot the other team existed, and we just played our game. And I gotta say, I mean, the match was close. Going back and forth, their shots, they had so many less whiffs than I've seen in those guys playing. Serious good credit. I mean, Mr. Cool, Van Wischen, those guys over there just literally like every time they popped the corner, every time you stuck a head up kind of deal, like it was like bam, no, there was no second tries. It was right on the money. So, I mean, big props to those guys, and I love all those guys. Like I said, we were playing a little shit talking before and whatnot, and talking with Clevey, trying to like get in his head a little bit because we're boys and stuff. But I will say, my hats off to them. They definitely won the shots they needed took the shots they needed to take and got them. And luckily we didn't have to deal with any of the issues we were having in the scrims tonight. That kind of was like the grenades, crazy. But my guys, I mean, listen, I've said it before. These guys, we're a dark horse type team going on here. These guys have been putting in so much time and so much effort one-on-one, so that when we get together on match days, like, we're ready to go. I mean, we sat down tonight. I'll give you a little insight here. We don't usually talk about some of the stuff that we do and whatnot, but I want to give you like an idea about how our team mentality is going, kind of, right? So our goals for tonight were, make sure our team trades are there, work together as a team, like none of that solo crap. Tonight was a very good night for us on trades. We stuck together, we stuck it out, and we went for it, and we did well. We have this be a good teammate. The team's interest always needs to be what's best in mind. Guys are dedicated, but sometimes mid game you're not really sure what's going on. Maybe you don't want to get that guy. No, we waited and stuff, and they made it. The NANAs really made it really hard for us to do that, but we did a really good job. And the other thing was, take our time, breathe, and let the moves happen. Don't force it. And again, I think we did a very good job of that. The shot placement, though, like I said, the less whiffs that Nan had tonight really took the icing on the cake. And my hat's off to Clevey, running that ship and getting those calls out there. It was a great match. I'm looking forward to our scrims coming up in the future. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to kind of piggyback more of what you were saying, kind of taking a look at these stats here. I mean, ending the your CT half 7-5. I mean, that puts you in a really good spot leading into that T side half. I'm just kind of curious, of course, looking at the stats here that we have. starting your T side, losing this first 6 rounds, was that just kind of like you were saying earlier, where they were just hitting some crazy stuff, or would you say that maybe, I know that you and Nan played together quite a lot, so I'm curious if maybe Clevie was just kind of getting the edge there on those first couple rounds.
Well, CT definitely, I think, has the edge on Vertigo. Us going up by 2, I think, the matches were pretty close. I mean, we were talking with the team afterward, and I think like we probably had 3 more matches that we should have taken and lost due to a simple either 1v1 or some minor mistake, and that would have put us up more. But there's nothing I could take away from what those guys did on CT side when we dropped the T, because every call that I made was different from any of the calls I'd played with them before, but we had practiced a couple variations different on purpose to be different, and they still were just shutting it down. So it's like we just couldn't get anything going. Yeah, no, 100% props to them. I don't think I've called a better game in my life against another team to only be shut down on that side of the map. And Vertigo is one of our favorite maps as a team. I mean, it's right up there with I guess I don't want to tell you guys all the cool stuff.
Don't jump into the strap bag. Don't jump into that.
We're not doing that. But yeah, no, seriously. We just couldn't get it going. And like I said, it wasn't for lack of just losing 1v1s and things like that. I mean, collectively as a team, I think we played real well there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
it was they also did the same thing, and that wasn't quite normal. I think we were actually trying to figure out what was going on with I think it was Bun, like 2 in 10 or something like that in the first half. And my guys were like, "Yo, we're shutting him down." I was like, "No, we're not. He's just getting warmed up. You gotta be careful with what you say. You can't get too confident." And then look what he came out as, kind of deal. He came out swinging in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with that being said, and how I started the conversation, only a 4-round differential. There's no need to beat yourself up about that, especially of how you explained it. I mean, get maybe one more round on CT puts you a little bit higher on, getting into your T side half, or maybe pulling out 1 or 2 more T rounds, catching them by surprise. That game really does go either way. I'm very interested to see, how you guys stack up on, on the next game and things like that. But I think that basically sums up the UPS.
I do want to spotlight one player, the number 6 overall pick, Mr. Cool, going out and just dropping 25 and 6.
25 and 15.
25 kills, 6 assists.
Yeah.
Just so much damage. I think if he doesn't get as high as he does, I think that game goes way different.
Well, and I was gonna say too, usually my matches, I'm pushing 2,000 damage every single match, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
I got held to less than I think 1,500, maybe even maybe 1,300. But
1345.
Where my guys are usually all about I don't know, probably 13, 14, 1,500 ish kind of deal. I mean, they stepped up and picked up when I couldn't perform, and that's though like you said, Mr. Cool did an amazing job. My guys carried me today. I'm very proud of my guys, and I am so looking forward to our next practice because of it.
Yeah. Spaghetti's obviously a team to look out for. Not a bad loss. It's a team that's going to be in the hunt for playoffs. All right.
I think Noah brought up a good point.
Yeah.
If I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the dark side of everyone in recruit being friends. You see each other and you play with each other so often, and you're like, yeah, we want to win. We want to play well. We want to get our premier rank, not premium, our premier rank up. And sometimes you let a few tricks of the trade slide, and you gotta watch out. Not saying don't be friends, not saying don't play with people, but that negative side of you see somebody for 2 months over break in between seasons, and all of a sudden it's like, why do they know what I'm gonna do so often?
Yeah.
We intentionally withheld certain utility when we played with those guys on Vertigo. I know you've been there too. And the same thing with Anubis and Ancient for them. Just when we played, I'm just like, guys, we can't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to keep some of it secret. I think that kind of segues us into the other.
We want to talk about. Okay, is that? I was about to say, did you want to talk? Yeah, because the frog AP game.
Frog AP. Next, you want to take that one?
Clancy.
What? Yeah, what?
You want to take the AP frog game? Give us a little overview. What are you thinking?
He's distracted with Photoshop.
No, he's distracted with Minecraft.
Yeah, he's playing Minecraft. I guarantee it.
We do have
He
the
always
stats.
I
does.
will not say anything.
We do have the stats. It's in the chat.
Oh, we do. Okay, that's actually.
Yeah, we made sure to go out and get them so that way we could fix our biggest problem last season. Shout out both the Bye Bye and Toast Jeff. Shout out to them for sending the stats we didn't have.
Oh, okay. The 11-13 on Vertigo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a clip. Wow.
I
I
will
mean, yeah.
say
Ooh, gee. Sorry.
the one
I
thing
am
that
sick,
shocks
so.
me the most from this game is Triple Man.
Yeah. 13
Yeah,
kills.
13 frags. Not a lot of damage.
But hey, he's improving. I'm glad
When
to see
you
him as
yeah,
well.
but when you
Yeah.
look at that, because I also have the advanced stats, 19 enemies flashed
Ooh,
with
okay.
56 ADR and 41 util damage. So if nothing else, he's being the support for them
Yeah.
and is flashing in. And it's nice to see that Monty has probably got Triple Man in that situation of like, look, we're not expecting you to go out and drop 15, 20 kills. But if you can flash us in and get us into a site, basically, that's the most use. You know, Triple Man was a
Yeah.
big meme last season because he got cut from his own team, but also if he's taken the time in the offseason to improve, nothing's saying Triple Man can't have a major comeback season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a 2-round differential is not a joke there. I mean, especially AP, bringing it to Frog. Especially
Frog, the
because
second of two super teams.
yeah, I was gonna say Frog is also stacked now. I mean, like everyone's over here crapping on AVI, but I think we're forgetting that Frog's over here being a little
It's an arms race.
themselves. So
Noah, you
um,
started an arms race, buddy.
I guess I did. With that being said, I mean, to be honest with you, in terms of the frags that I see on the board, I'm shocked that it was this close. Frog having 3 players over 20 kills, and AP mostly all around that 15 to 20 kill range. I mean, that just goes to show that whatever AP was doing, it must have been working really well for them in terms of playing off of each other and playing in a team to kind of keep it still close and a winnable game for them.
Yeah, especially when you look at this, there's no rounds that were saves. There was no beyond the bombs, which the CT probably saved, but I'm talking about
Right.
like there's no round timer out or
Right.
timeout wins. It's all kills, bomb and defuse and stuff like that. So there's maybe 3 rounds where people saved.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I'm glad to see AP putting in some work. It's a good change of pace. Coming in from last season, I think that their team has some potential for sure. I think Lance was what, the number 2?
Lance was the number 2.
Number 2 overall pick.
Very good pick.
Being the second frag there, definitely helps the team there for sure. Monty coming in back, to call again. I'm only interested to see what else he can kind of pull on the table for his team over there. But I mean, let's just talk about Frog. I mean, 3 players going over 20 kills.
Yeah.
Not a shock. Dewey, Toast, Penguins, all phenomenal players. They did have to sub out Vaughn tonight. Not too sure what was the reason, but they did have to get a PFA in there instead of Vaughn there, and even the PFA was able to come in and still put some damage 14. In there.
Dropped elite damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I definitely think that this was probably a game most people were favoring in the Frog side, and I'm shocked that it was as close as it was, to be honest with you. So,
actually, we can look at what people predicted. Pretty sure it's.
Yeah, there was a few predictions I saw.
Yeah, so we do have the matchup survey, and in the Cal, so people had Cal winning 62 to 43. People had Wet winning 68 to 37%. Keep in mind, I'm rounding these up, so these percentages might not be completely accurate. Nan, only 2 people had Nan winning 12% of the vote. AP, 1 person had AP at 6.3% of the vote versus 16 for Frog. You look at that AVI game, 4 people had Hell, so 25% of the vote. You had ABW had 93% of the vote to be Dragon or Pact of Embers.
Oh yeah.
So
You know,
yeah,
if,
basically nobody gave AP a chance, and they go out and pick up 11 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that's why I mean, I think there's a lot of teams out there, and I mean, Match Day 1 definitely shows it. Like, there's teams out there on the board that people are thinking aren't too great, and they came out tonight and showed that they can still play. I mean, I guess that kind of segues that. I mean, Milky,
Yeah, Milk.
Milky. Let's talk about your 13-0.
Yeah, so the boys came out swinging. Yeah, we got a nice 13-0 victory on Inferno against DRG, or the Ohms, I guess. And we had a sub actually filling in for Brian. Brian's not going to be with us for the next 2 match days either, so you'll probably see Tez on the board once again.
Oh yeah, we love Tez.
But yeah, we just came out. We were just a well-oiled machine. Just like the comms were. Everyone was pushing with each other or supporting each other. They just kind of let me like run around for whatever I had to spawn for, and yeah.
I will say, Huntwick being a PFA, going killless, 235 damage. You kept everybody under 1100 damage. Jimmy only had 10 kills. HD Tempo, Kill the Rainbow, and Pancake with 3 each. Just shutting the door completely.
I legit talked to him about that.
Nice.
He had the worst game of his night for no reason at all, and I was like, oh, like, did you come off a bad night? Did you were you up all night? Because he's an EMT and stuff like that. I'm like, you gotta have reasons. Like, I just played bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens.
Yep.
The duality of Counter-Strike.
I heard the game before that, he actually in the scrim he played really well. So that's got to be a tough pill to swallow, right?
Yep.
But that's kind of how the game goes. Sometimes everywhere you look, you just get timed incorrectly. It's tough to bounce back.
It is. I mean, I definitely think that DRG has some potential there. I mean, I think that out of the 2 teams that were the 13-0, I think that myself personally, I thought they were going to put more of a fight. DRG for sure. I think that they do have some potential prospects over there that can make a game happen. So honestly, I'm kind of shocked at the 13-0. But I'm excited what they can do. I mean, we talk about it a lot on this podcast, but to be honest, I mean, I think getting stomped is one of the best blessings in disguise, because you can just sit there and look at how did this happen? Why did it happen? How can we improve? Being the 2 teams that stomped a team 13-0, in my opinion, isn't probably the best in terms of trying to improve, because you just went out there and dominated. And as a matter of fact, I would say probably towards the end of those games, people were getting a little sloppy. I mean, maybe I could be wrong, but in my opinion,
It
I would
feels
say
like
that
if you're up like 11-0, it feels like you kind of take your foot off the gas, and you just kind of go, what can we do?
exactly. And I think that of course it's good and bad, right?
I'm gonna
So
disagree a little bit on that.
I mean,
It can happen.
We stayed well disciplined the whole
Yep.
time. Honestly, I mean, if
And
you
that
see
shows.
Rye has a KD of 14.
Yeah, and that just
Right, one
shows
time.
ABW, showing that they're not going to be that team. I know some teams they can do that, but ABW just showing up and going, all right, here it is,
Yeah.
plopping it on the table and just going, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
I
I mean-
think I don't think this is gonna get us overconfident or anything. I mean,
No,
we know there's a lot of work to be done. Lots of season left. So.
lots of season
Absolutely.
left, a lot of super teams to go up against.
Exactly.
well, actually, Jackson over there gets to luck out and doesn't play against us. So
Oh,
Yeah, but we do. Final
I do
match day.
I do recall playing a scrim against you actually, and
And we
pretty
were
sure
tied.
We beat you like 13-0 on a match.
I also remember us also smacking you 13-4, I think it was. So let's remember that.
I will say, as somebody who has to play AVI at the end of the season, I really hope by that point we've already clinched a playoff spot.
All I'm
I
gonna
hope-
say,
I hope ATL by that point has clinched a playoff spot and we can go into
I
that
hear
game
it,
thinking, all right, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna use this to scout them. I hope that's the possibility. I hope it's not a winner go home game. I really hope that isn't.
we'll have to find out. Either
Team
way,
that-
Jackson, love you.
How about
So
a team
let's-
that
let's-
has to play the other 13-0 team last game of the season? ABW and Wet both have to fight for a
Mhm.
playoff spot last game of the season.
That's it's gonna be interesting. Let's move on to the last one because
Yeah.
we still have power rankings to do.
Yep. Last game right there. You want to take it, Enders?
Yeah, Servals and Goshi, 13-11, closing it out after losing 4 straight. Servals go out and say, "All right, we're done playing around to get the last round." Azor dropping 20, Lyman Luke dropping 18, Matt, Hector, Pets all around that 14 kill mark. And then you look on the other side, you've got UK and Bye Bye both dropping 21, Cayman dropping 20, Mr. Heatmap himself proving that he isn't just the strategical brain behind Sav. Nick Time Rush, who, if I'm correct, was a trade or a cut
Cut from Nan.
from Nan. Cut from, I know he was at Nan, but he got cut, gets picked up by Sav and Oofenschmerz. If I've learned anything about Sav, is that we need to watch out for Oofenschmerz. I know we talk a lot about Frog being great at developing talent. You go back at last season, you look at Sock and Toad on Sav. Oofenschmerz is going to be a demon come a couple, match days from now.
Absolutely. I think that their team there, they got something cooking for sure. I will say, to be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked, with the scoreline here. It was a very back and forth game, especially with the lead that Sav had going into the half. I mean, OS being able to keeping their cool and able to bring it together. I think, maybe OS squeezes maybe one more round in their CT half and they're able to kind of tie this and take it to OT. I will say the shock of the night there, in terms of the scoreline, in my opinion, is Pets. Number 1 overall rated player. I know that in the preseason, ups and downs for Goshi for sure. I think for them, I mean, I'm not going to speak for them, of course, but I think they're going to need these first couple match days to kind of settle themselves. I mean, bottom of the board there for Goshi, 13 and 19. Bottom damage there. I personally, I always love watching the picks 1 through 5 to see how they can develop on whatever team they are, and I think OS is a good team to be developed on. I'm really intrigued to see, how long Pets takes to kind of find themselves being comfortable in the team and comfortable in the league to really shine and bring out their true potential as the number 1 pick.
Very secretive org, it feels like, with OS. It feels like you see him once, you never see him again.
Really?
Keeping up to that name. I mean, but obviously OS last season kept, I think, 4 people from their season 11 team.
Yeah.
They lose 2, they only keep Matt and Hector. It feels kind of like a rebuild year for OS, it feels weird coming into.
Go ahead, Jackson.
I just wanted to say, I was trying to say when you guys were talking about the Oofenschmerz, I think that's my favorite player in the league, honestly.
Oh yeah, favorite name.
For name alone.
When I was watching the demos too, because I was collecting all those clips, I had like the crosshair setting turned on, where like I would
Yes, and you could see his crosshair. Yep.
Yeah, and his crosshair is fucking.
It's literally
It's a sniper scope.
Crosshair.
It's literally a crosshair, like it's fucking the entire size of the screen. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
But if it works, it works.
Dude,
the guys have
yeah, he seems like a super chill dude.
But yeah,
So,
man, I definitely think this was a good game for sure. I'm excited to see.
I do want to, before we get into the bit where, no offense, the guests are kind of just chilling, throwing in some input. Mikwick, Low Seal. I know the obvious answer when I ask this is going to be win the championship, but like beyond that, any big goals this season? Team you want to beat, a record you want to get?
Go ahead, Lo. Girls first.
Oh!
Beauty before age. Gotta flip it around sometimes.
You are half
So-
my age, that's true.
That is right. I guess I gotta say, coming off a franchise that, I played my first season in 12. I played under Noah. although we didn't make playoffs and we didn't end with a positive record, we hit a goal that was pretty impressive to have the highest round differential in our favor. That wasn't one of the top 3 teams. I think we were tied with the 4th best team, and we finished at 9th in there. So
Yep.
I think the number one goal, right? You're looking to have a positive record, but I think the bigger goal, the one beneath that, is to keep that round differential high. That's a record to set. That if you can just you're either winning big or you're losing by small numbers. It really shows the quality of the team. And it's just unfortunate that ABI team didn't get that playoff run with how tight they seemed.
Yeah. Let's not give our boy Clancy here any Vietnam flashbacks that make him kill his liver again. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've spoken at length about the AVI team not making playoffs and why it happened or how people think it shouldn't have happened. But yeah, Mikwick, to you, any big goals for the season beyond just winning championship? Because that feels like the basic answer.
Listen, it was put on my shoulders from day one that we need to win, and that's a tall order, right? This is my first year in the league. I didn't quite want to IGL and captain at the same time for a team, but I feel like I have the support of my franchise and the support of my GMs. Shout out to all those guys who literally have walked me through everything I need to do to give me the confidence to take this group of guys and do something with them. I mean, the reality is I feel like our team works a little differently. I mean, our goal is obviously always to win. The expectation is that we need to get some wins on the board, but we need to start small. There's definitely some new faces, some newer players on my team, and we are spending the time working with them to get them up to where they want to be, no matter what the cost is. So like I told you guys earlier, our goals for tonight kind of deal. I mean, our goal really is to get to postseason, and from there we'll establish a new set of goals and go from there. I mean, no smack talk needed. I mean, this recruit season appears to be a very competitive group of teams. I mean, look at the stats tonight. Only 2 blowouts, and everything else was pretty close. Yeah. So we're gonna have some real good games coming up. I'm not taking away from anybody. All I really truly want to say is, I think that I would rather have a team that has dedication and hard work and is average on the board than either a bunch of super team players or a bunch of confident guys that mid-game might forget something. It's a real possibility in this division that stuff like that happens. And like I said, the goal for us is just to come out and give it our all each and every time. We win as a team and we lose as a team. Bottom line.
Yeah. I will say, Mikwick, at least in my eyes, you've got to fill some very, very, very massive shoes. I know Colney was, at least in last season, he was 1A and 1B with Noah here in terms of my IGLs. and from hearing from you seem like you're going to fill it very well, at least in terms of getting that team ready to go, getting that team ready to win.
I have confidence in my team, right? Like there's many times you might run into guys that you have the talent, and like they might have disagreements with your IGL mid-game kind of deal. In my case, I literally feel so blessed and fortunate to have the guys on my team, because they will follow me to war blindly and do exactly what I say and how I say it, to the T, to the letter, and then we'll talk about it after the fact. Like, I am very blessed to have that kind of support from even my own team, and it is a pleasure to play with them every single day. The skill gap exists, like and being able to work with these guys and be able to put forth the best foot forward each and every time we step in the server is going to go big. I think it's going to take us far, and we're not afraid of the challenge. We're not afraid. Sorry, Noah. We've already talked, but we're not afraid. We're still coming for that ABI game. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And like I said, we're just trying to play the game the right way. I mean, win as a team, lose as a team, and more importantly, be all on the same page about what our expectations are moving forward. And I think we've got a good start.
Yeah. So in that case, we're going to go ahead and move on to the power rankings. Clancy, do you want to pull up a sheet so we can keep this in track? Or pull up the...
Yeah, sure.
Because I know you aren't streaming it in Discord. So we can go ahead and get this and make sure at least we all agree in terms of us and figure out this stuff. Okay, while we do take a short intermission for Clancy to share this, if you're gonna edit it after time, just pull up like a Google Doc, so that way we can at least see on the list name wise.
Here, you can just look at my you can just look at my Photoshop thing because I have to edit it for the OBS.
All right. Well, let's start with the bottom, work our way up. Agreed, hosts?
Yeah.
So there are two teams, at least I'm looking at the bottom, and for me that's Ohms and Riff Raiders.
Yeah. I agree with that.
You know, 0 and 13. I mean, the question is, where do we put them? Who's first, who's last? I'd like to hear some notes on that.
Yeah, I would say myself personally, I probably would put Ohms at the bottom, only just because, I mean, looking at the two 13-0 games, Ohms had the lower showing from their players, so I think it's only like natural to put their at last, and then putting the Riff Raiders, at the 13th spot because their team had a little bit more potential to maybe not have it be a 13-0. That's in my mind personally.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Would just like to mention both teams did have a sub, and we obviously see that from the looks of it, it looks like Riff Raiders had a better chance to at least win a couple of rounds.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's any disagreements in Milky, Clancy?
Sorry, no. I was just myself a whiskey.
Ooh.
No, I agree. Although like DRG's not a bad team. We've played them twice. We scrimmed them, and then we played them again there. And like, yeah, it was 13-0, but we were, like I said, we were grinding. We were just doing everything right, and I think that's kind of what held them back. But they're a good team, honestly. And like, if Huntwick doesn't have like the worst game of his life there, then like, obviously a completely different scoreline too. He was a demon in the scrim that we played against him as well. So, yeah, but yeah, I agree with this.
I'd like to hear Noah's opinion on 12.
Let me see here. I would say, let me take a look here. In my opinion, out of the games that were played, God, there's so many freaking teams that could kind of fit that spot, to be honest with you. I would say it's probably going to be one of the two teams that is leaning in the number 9, like in like
The win column, yeah.
So I would put either, Hell or Spaghettis there. In my opinion, I would say, just in terms of how the games were explained and things like that, I think that I would put Hell at the number 12. I know we did play them, but I mean, so maybe that's a little biased there, but getting nine rounds against us, big props to them. But I mean, I would say that arguably there's like 4 rounds that we kind of handed to them. But I mean, I would say that in the 2 games that I would argue between the 12th and 11th spot, either Hell or UPS, I think UPS had a bigger chance or better chance to kind of come away, with maybe some more rounds or potentially winning. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I won't speak for everyone.
Yeah, it seems like there might have been something that, whereas it's more so who they played versus how they played. I could see Spaghettis going here because of how they played versus, I think the reason Hellfire got only 9 rounds is because who they played.
I can agree with
You
that.
know?
I mean, especially because, I mean, like, of course, we're looking top down as well, I would say arguably Hawks is a stronger team than Nan. So, like, we're supposed to beat Hell. So maybe switching that around, I wouldn't be upset about that.
I was gonna say that too. Just
I think it's more so who you play in a loss like that. It's who you play versus how you play. And Mick, you're still here, but like, you didn't play an AVI, So it is kind of right now strength of schedule, and Hell putting up 9 I think is impressive considering I didn't have them being as competitive as they seem to have been.
Oh,
Yeah,
I entirely agree. I
I
mean,
mean, they're not a top 16. I can tell
they're-
you
No,
that.
I had Spaghetti's being more competitive than Hell was, and for them both to be here, I think is why I think I'm sitting here looking at it this way.
But you know
No, I-
what, Nick? It's just only way up, or only way now is up. You know what I mean?
I told you the true dark horse team.
I'm rooting
In order
for
to be
it.
in order to be a dark horse, you can't be in the top 6 right off
Yep.
the bat.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 12 and 11. I feel like that's all kind of
Yeah, I feel like that's
an
very good.
understanding.
Now,
Let's
here's
go.
the thing. I feel like I would be doing a disservice to put Tofu Ticklers at 10.
Oh yeah, they're not.
I
a
don't
top
think.
team.
No,
They're not
I
a
don't.
I don't think they're
10.
10. I think they're higher than 10. Where
think
in
in
9 or 8, I don't know. I think they could even hypothetically be above 8. I think they could be, because they're very good. And I think there are some teams you're looking at here and it's like, that shouldn't have been as close as it was, and they could possibly drop a little bit.
I would actually put. I mean, like in my opinion, the 10, 9, and 8 spot. I would say I would argue number 10 is OS, number 9 is AP, and Cows in my number 8. That's how I personally would probably label those out.
Yeah, I would do it the same way, except the OS to Goshi. I mean, both went up against some pretty tough teams, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's,
I mean,
it's hard. Like they're pretty right on the scale, but I do think Tofu Ticklers going into overtime against ATL puts them higher on the match
Yeah.
day 1 scale. You know.
And
yeah, I mean,
obviously, these are way too early to be doing this, but we're known for
Hey,
doing shit way too early.
we love doing it early. I would only argue that I would say between the two teams, out of the two finals teams, in terms of the roster that they're bringing back, I would argue Frog has a stronger roster than Sav out of match day 1. So I would put AP getting 11 rounds on Frog versus Goshi getting 11 rounds on Sav, making AP higher.
I mean,
So-
you could
so
also
that
make
way-
that argument for AP going at 8. Like, I could see that argument for AP going 8 because of who they played and getting 11
Yeah, but
rounds. But also
I-
overtime, we've said before, at least with last season match day 1, that going to overtime kind of puts you. Actually,
Yeah.
I think we had AP just below middle last time. We
I
did
think-
preseason
I
or
think-
first day.
Cal being at 8 is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Because of the OT game.
Yeah. Now we look at 7. I could see Nade Stack here.
I was just about to say, I'm thinking Nade Stack. I don't know. I honestly can't give a good reason why. It just feels like, you know, just feels like it.
It feels like it feels right, you know? Like, yes, they didn't go into overtime, but also
Yeah, I mean,
Nan
I think-
is
I
yeah.
don't think it's a terrible spot. I wouldn't, because the problem that like the conversation, right, would be okay, like who's gonna go in this next like little grouping. And I would say that I would put Frog and Sav above Nan. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that just has to mean that Nan goes in the number 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in order for like that all to make sense to me, that like Servals would be 6 and Tadpole would be
5.
5.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That makes
think that-
sense.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we're gonna see later on. Of like, Tadpole should have closed out. In knowing what we know, Tadpole probably could have closed out AP a little quicker.
You're right.
But also, we don't know because we don't have Dewey or Jeff or one of those guys here to tell us what happened in the call.
Right. Well, they're also just gonna say that we're 4
Mhm.
offers.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The next up, we have 2 teams who won by 4 rounds, round differential.
I'm gonna put
And-
AVI at 4.
AVI of 4. Okay.
I mean, the only thing, and this is, oh my god, if Crash was here, we would be at number 3 because he'd be like, well, AVI beat us in a scrim. You remember that, Andreas?
Yeah. And I was like, but
but
the record shows this and the round wins.
But
The round
anyway,
wins and everything.
I would put AVI at 4 only because
No.
yeah, because we
No,
should have won
Harpies.
like.
Harpies at 4.
Well, I'm not gonna argue against my own team
Well,
going lower.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, is
Thing is,
everybody is
we'll-
looking at no, and I could agree both ways, but talking about why Hawks might go there and Harpies wouldn't is because Harpies faced a better team in Cow than Acolytes. So we
Yeah.
are looking. Why the fuck you putting them to? Move them back down. We saw that.
Well, the only thing I will argue, right? Because I can see where Milky's going, but I think we're
Yeah.
forgetting something. Is that, and this is no hate to CO, right? But yes, Wet got a 13-0, but I don't think that they should be one or two, right? They played against arguably, as we have them at the number 13 spot. Same thing with ABW. They both got 13-0s against the bottom two teams, right?
They showed up and
I-
did their job and left. They did what they should have done.
Do I not think that they deserve to be in the top 4? No. Or yes, I do think that they do deserve there, but I don't think that respectively they should both be 1 or 2. I would
We
say
made
if
this
you-
mistake last season with Goshi.
I know, and guess what? Then they got shit on by us. So
But yes,
it
so
wasn't-
we're looking at it and learning from our mistakes.
So what I would say, if like pull out the bias of me
Mhm.
being on AVI,
Okay,
I
well
would
then,
say my 1, 2,
everyone-
3. Go ahead, Milky.
if you're not basing it off of like, if they like beat the worst team or the best team or whatever, like, I mean, you guys had a.
I would say if you really broke it
Like-
down, like take out, like if we're just looking strength of schedule, I would say it's ATL, Hawks, ABW, Wet.
If I can
Because-
actually jump in,
I think ATL.
It's
Yeah,
sort of-
jump.
sort of defend
Right.
Noah here. I think a balance on power ranking is expectation as well. If
Yeah.
Hawks are the super team and then Frost, and Hawks dropped 9 rounds, and you have
against
Noah
L.
here saying, yeah, and so you have Noah saying, well, we should have actually only dropped 5 rounds on them. We gave them. You're talking about the Hawks underperforming to your expectations.
And also strength of
Wet
schedule
Okay,
does
but
play.
on that note, like, if then you're gonna say like ATL dropped 12 rounds to Cal, which is the 8 team, but they should be number 1. Like, you know what I mean?
No. I was going to provide the example that Wet went 13-0, but their expectations weren't all that high, so I wouldn't put them number 1, even though they quote unquote are at the top of the league table or number 2 on the league table.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because
and
here's
that's
the
that's
thing
not
with Wet.
expectation.
the expectation with Wet and also with ABW was to go out and to beat these lower tier teams and just destroy them. Maybe they get a couple rounds, but that was the expectation. They're playing Drag,
Yeah.
they're playing Pact of Embers, and they're playing Rift Riders. Two that at least in preseason we're looking at like these teams are they cobbled a roster together. Maybe they can pull something out, but they're probably not making playoffs.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so I think Wet,
Yeah.
Wet and ABW at the 3-4 spot makes sense, right? They were maybe a somewhere between 5 and 8 team, you know, a mid-round team, probably going to make playoffs, but right on that edge. Let's call them a 5-6. Not only did they go out and win, but they won in a fairly dominating fashion, both ABW and Wet. That's sort of where they get that bump up to the next tier.
I agree. I mean, I don't
So-
know. We always talk about it every time we do power rankings. Is it strength of schedule or is it record or is
It's
it
match day 1 too.
you know?
it's hard.
So I
Yeah.
feel like on match
I
day
do
one,
think-
it
It'll
has
move.
to be strength of schedule.
It has to be. It absolutely will move, and I don't doubt that it'll fluctuate, and then basically most of the top teams will have a spot in the number one because it's how we work. But I also think right now,
Switching coins.
I think ABW and Mist both fit that 3-4 slot because of they did what they were expected. It was expectations and strength of schedule, and nobody came in like, yeah, Rift Raiders is going to be a top team, or Ohms is going to be a top team. They go and 30-0 them, or even a middle of the pack team and 13-0 them. So that's why I think AVI and ATL should be 1 and 2 respectively. We can argue about that, and I think Mist should be 4 and ABW should be 3.
Yeah, I'll take ABW being 3.
I think they're going to be a top team, and it wouldn't shock me if come match day 2 or 3, ABW shows up, shows out, and gets that number 1 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're
don't
not.
think we're being misplaced.
I know that we don't like. We're not gonna talk too much about
Missed
like,
it 4,
predictions.
Clancy.
What?
Missed it 4.
I know we're
Oh.
not gonna talk too much about it, but I mean,
Wait, who's that one?
I think we're definitely going to have a
but there's a
conversation.
lot of
Number
shakeups
1
by
should
match day
be
3.
AVI, but I guess we're putting ATL then.
I think the thing is though with ATL is even looking at it, AVI you expect to go out in like 13-5 acolytes because
Well, and
acolytes seem like they're going to be a mid-table team.
And I
I don't know if you do expect that though, right? Like, I mean, you
Well,
expect them to
all-
win.
all I'm gonna
and they
say
did.
is I'm totally okay with this because, like it's already said before, and I already told my guys, there are 4 rounds that we handed to them to make the game a 13-9.
Mhm.
That game we should have been in the driver's seat the entire time, and we underperformed to what my internal expectation was. And I mean, in my opinion, I think what puts ATL a little bit over is you basically went into that game, had a completely even match, and then you said, "Fuck it, I just want to win 4 rounds out," and you did that. Like
I mean,
winning,
and also
winning 4 out is no joke on OT.
no. And also we can look at the thing that Ruby posted with the predictions. Basically over half of the people were like, yeah, ATL's losing to ATL's going to lose this match. So I guess that's why I'm like, you prove people wrong. People thought it was going to be basically just a shot at, how is going to win this. And the fact that not only was it going to overtime, we basically shut the door on them.
Yeah.
Do I think ATL is going to be there more than just tonight? No. I
Well,
think we're
yeah.
going to see Frog and AVI rise up, and they're going to probably take that, or ABW if they. Who you guys play next week? Next Tuesday.
So ABW's playing Hell.
Acolytes.
Which would be a good game.
And I think if
AVI's
they go
playing
out,
Hell.
I think honestly, if ABW goes out and they do better than 13-9, I could realistically see ABW going in that number 1 slot.
Yeah.
If they go out and outperform Hawks.
I feel like it's also based then on how the cow game goes. I think either way you shake it, the next 3 games, or 2 games I should say, are really going to shake up this internally. And in my opinion, I think the middle of the pack, 5 through 10, I would, or 5 through 12, to be honest,
Are
I
all
think
pretty much.
has a lot of movement that can happen, especially in the days to come, with schedule and things like that. So I'm excited. For sure.
Yep. And Clancy, I have to ask. I know we're probably not going to do it because of time restraints. In the future, are we going to have the next match day's predictions as a thing?
Do you want that as a thing?
I think we should. Something that I really enjoyed doing.
Honestly,
I think people like doing
it did cook up a lot of
It
drama.
cooked up drama, and I kind of want to go
Turn them
through
into
some of
betting
these.
odds.
Some of these bigger, just
Underdog.
before we sign out, I kind of want to go through, set some of these expectations and storylines that at least I see coming into play at the start of this season.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I think Hawks and Tadpole Titans are going to have a rivalry this season. Obviously, Tadpole Titans stocking up in an arms race because Hawks stocked up, not to mention some of the drama surrounding the Hawks setup. I think, like I said earlier, I think to top us off is it feels like me and Noble are destined to this forever, and God, I want to meme on Cal so bad. Love those guys, but my God, it'd be funny. I think we're gonna see a battle of Ohms and Riff Raiders to see who is the better team. I think UPS. I know UPS and Wet haven't played yet. I don't know if you guys do play this season, but always, anytime Mist and Spaghetti's play, it feels like there's some rivalry there because of season 11 being the first season of Recruit, and that was the finals.
Match day 4.
Yep, that feels
Which
like it's
is
going to be a
the
match.
same time that AVI and Frog play.
Yeah, it feels like match day 4. We're gonna have some fucking beefing going on. Obviously, I mean, is there anything else I'm missing? It feels like Nan and Mickwick, just because Mickwick's your boys are over there. Feels like that could be a bit of a, in the standings rivalry, or oh, we beat this team, you lost to this team kind of thing.
Yeah,
had-
my. Oh, sorry, Mick. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like my predictions are that Spaghettis and Hellfire actually do move up this board quite a bit, because like
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think UPS or Hellfire are bottom 4 teams by any
No.
means.
No, I do not think they will be.
The only thing I will say is I do think that Hell got a little too big for their pants, in my opinion. I mean, the 13-9 game, like I said, props to them and how they played. But I am intrigued to see how they play their next couple matches, because they don't have the easiest of schedule. They played us tonight. They play you, Jackson, on Tuesday, and then they have maybe a not too terrible game on that Thursday. They play Ohms. So, they have a real potential to, start 0-2, which isn't the best start. But either way, I'm still excited to see what they can come out of it, because I think that they got some pieces over there, and just a matter of putting them all together.
So I have to ask really quick, what's our time looking like?
We are at an
5 to 1.
hour and 17.
Okay, do you want to pause the recording for like 2 seconds and set up just like a sheet to where we can do predictions?
Well,
Even if it is just a Google sheet really quickly while I go do
Mhm.
something?
let's say there's already one. Nick and
No, that's fine. They can leave. The predictions are mainly for us. I think after the guest and running down the games, talking to the guests is done, we can start. Like, they can leave if they have to, or whatever happens.
Well, I mean, Jackson fucking works.
Jackson, when the fuck do you work? Oh, dipped out.
Let's see.
Oh, is he already gone?
Let me message him.
Anyway, we're gonna have to cut this bit of the recording. All right, welcome back after a short intermission, and this will be the final remnant of classic The Weekly Recruit. We will no longer have any Google pages.
I wasn't
So this is the
expecting
final
this, so I didn't make a page for it.
Yeah, this is the final remnant of it. For the last time ever, you will see classic The Weekly Recruit with an untitled document and some words on it. So let's get started. Hell Abyss Walkers.
Yeah, Milky's gonna say ABW. Yep. Well, that's my prediction. Someone else can go.
I mean,
See, I do also agree.
I do
with
too.
Milky there. Who the heck is the A?
who is A?
Wait,
I have to agree with the Abyss Walker's prediction. I have to. It's one of those things that just you look at it and it's like, yeah, that's the winning team.
I mean, I really do think, like, if you look at, the AVI game for it, you can take that under your belt, kind of use that as some information, and kind of just what we did. I mean, if you can stop Sapphire, and that takes out one of their biggest pieces on the board, and kind of makes the rest of the game pretty easy.
I mean, especially when you look at it piece for piece, Milky versus Sapphire, I'm taking Milky. I think it's who's their IGL Deathhawk?
Deathhawk.
Deathhawk
yes.
versus Shane. I'm taking Shane. Goblin versus Rye. I'm taking Rye. Like across the board, I think ABW has the stronger roster. Locio, you
I
want to
think-
be put in?
No, I think ABW's got this.
Yeah, I think the only way that they don't is if Brass just has a life game. And I mean, Brass is known for his life games, I'm not going to lie to you. So, like, if Brass just wants to come out and drop 40, like, ABW is going to have
Yeah.
their hands full. But without that, I don't really see them being able to kind of compete too much.
On to
I've-
Nan in Pact of Embers.
Yeah. I've got Nan here. I like Mr. Cool over there. I think he's a cool guy. Clevey, you know, has been in the league for a while. He's got a good brain for it. As Mickwick was saying earlier, you know, I think he's really grown into the captain caller role, and I think that this will be a pretty good game for them, and also just to put another W under their belt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Dragon is going to go winless or anything,
Yeah.
but I think this is one of those where they just don't have the firepower.
Yeah.
So I got to
mean-
go Nan.
I'd say it probably really depends on if they're gonna need a PFA again. You know, if they
Yeah.
do, maybe they can find a PFA that's just got the firepower for them. Maybe they can win. But at first
Anime
bite,
lover.
I've got Nan.
Yeah, Milky's gonna go with Nan on this one as well. I think it's gonna be a tough matchup for DRG. I think. I mean, they could pull it out. They're not huge underdogs in my opinion. But,
You know, I would say it's pretty close, like
Yeah.
60-40.
I just I have a feeling it'll be a Nan game.
Yeah.
See.
I'll go with Nan. Fuck it.
Seal, who you rooting for here?
I think Noah is someone who'll know a lot about a team having to play with subs for umpteen number of weeks in a row and how difficult that is.
Yeah.
I do have some personal friends on Nan, and so it's tough not to pick them here. So I'm going to pick Nan here, but I think DRG is sort of running into it's like if you practice with 5 people and then you just can't get them for the match, it's gonna make that that really hard to just have that cohesion there.
If you have the Abyss Walkers problem with, you know, Brian being out for 3 match days, it's tough.
I mean, even though like ABW has been playing with Tez like
Yeah.
every time. Like I think they found
Just
Tez,
getting Tez warm.
you know, preseason like 3. They've been cooking with him, so
Yeah.
Tez a good player.
Did I hear
I don't
we're
think-
getting some
Yeah,
drama about
we've been-
a possible swap?
A possible swap.
No, Brian just has a match, you know, some match day bans, you know.
Yeah, Brian's just unable to play right now. We're really grateful to have Tez. He's a really
Brian
good player,
can't
actually.
come to the phone right now.
And I mean, honestly, like, yeah, maybe a swap would be considered, but he's not going to be around for playoffs. So that's why he made himself a PFA, is because he didn't want to, you know, have a team
Ruin a
get
team.
committed to a team for the season and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, like I'm not going to be
Yeah.
in playoffs, you know.
Come to me last
So-
on this one.
All right, well, I think up next year, Cal versus AVI. I think it's no question where Clancy and I sit on this.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
really move.
it is going to be a very interesting game. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. I honestly was shocked at the 16-12 scoreline that they had against ATL tonight. So it's definitely going to be a good match. You know, if they come to play, like they clearly put up tonight against ATL, it's going to be an interesting game. But you know, they don't know what I'm cooking.
Yeah, I think this is an AVI game as well. I'm hoping Cal puts up a good fight though.
Low seal?
So I think I'm gonna go against the grain here, and I think maybe ATL showed a little bit more of the weaknesses of the dominant all-star roster that AVI has put together, and I think Cal wins in OT.
Well, this makes us less anticlimactic now because I was about to do a whole bit.
Here, just
Well-
rewind the tape. Rewind the tape. You'll be good.
Rewind the tape.
Juice of the bit.
So I mean, AVI is a powerhouse. They've got four men that just go in there and wreck shit. They've got four that go in and wreck shit. How has five?
Don't go dogging on my sweeper. Dude,
AVI is beautiful. I love each and every one of those dudes. They're great.
Uh-huh.
Cow is not the same Cow we saw last season. So I'm taking off the shirt. I'm showing off the Cow jersey. I think Cow can win it if you guys give them the 4 rounds you gave to Hellfire. Like you said, you could have won that 13-5, but you gave them 4 rounds. If you do that to Cow, Cow will make you pay.
you know, I appreciate that you're trying to help the little guy here, Enders, and I don't mind it. But if you think if Noble can outcall me, I don't know what planet you're on.
I'm not saying he's gonna. I'm not
love
saying they're
Noble,
gonna.
but
I'm not saying any one player is gonna outfrag any of you guys. I'm not saying Noble is gonna outcall you. They're gonna outscrap you.
well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
I love me an underdog. I love me an underdog.
Well, you know,
This feels
speaking
weird.
Speaking of an underdog, I have deadbeats coming in and beating ATL, and this isn't even for the meme of the last one, because I personally have scrimmed against deadbeats quite a couple times, and I don't think that they were able to perform to the ability that they wanted to tonight. And I think getting stomped like that is just going to open their eyes. You know, I think the pickups, what they did tonight, I do probably see them probably picking up Cool Guy. I know their roster is pretty thin in terms of players, and I think having a veteran on that roster can do some help for them. So yeah, I have deadbeats actually beating ATL. I'm interested to see how it's going to work.
Melky?
Yeah, that's an ATL game. Easy, 100%.
Clancy, Locio?
Come back to me.
Okay, so if Clancy's gonna die.
Clancy-
Playing against DB,
It's not his liver this time.
Ah,
It's his lungs. It starts with L still.
yeah.
Playing against DB, they've got some really solid riflers, and them having Dr. Fury makes me a little sad. I wanted to keep 6 on my team, and I just couldn't get there. But I think Dr. Fury is a solid player, and I think if they get their full roster together, whether that is making a change or whether that's just having their 5 together, I think DB can come out and get rid of that 0-1 start and bring it back.
Clancy?
I'm back. I'm taking it.
All I'm saying is it felt so weird on the last one to be the face to Noah's heel. But I guess it's what's happening, because if you think I'm betting against my team and against myself, you're fucking stupid. I'm going ATL all the way. And I'm gonna make what Wet did to them look like a mercy. I didn't go out and drop 38 on Cow just to lose to deadbeats.
And I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
No, but seriously though, I do think we're not gonna take this like I just said that, you know, that's memes, it's bigging up myself, but I think legitimately it's ATL all the way. Got a great group of guys, got great mental for the most part. I think this is just, we're not taking it like a bye week, but I don't think unless we beat ourselves, we're losing this game.
Yeah. Up next, we're looking at Sav and AP here. Both of them had pretty tougher games tonight. You know, both 13-11.
Both shocking. Both shocking games.
To be honest with you, I personally have Sav beating out AP here. You know, I think that there's a little bit more star potential on that Sav roster than the AP roster. You know, don't get me wrong. I love Tim. I love Rooney. And Lance has come in and been a player for them. but I really do think that Sav just has a more cohesive unit than AP, and that's where I have them put. I have Sav beating AP, not easily. I think it's gonna be a close game, but Sav definitely gets on top there.
Yeah. I mean, Kamen Rider Kamen Rider UK Cats. Bye bye. Like, that's a tough roster, and I think it'll be a good match. AP has shown up and proved that they can contend. It's going to be a good fight, and for that reason, I'm taking Sav. I think it'll be close. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a 13-11 or if it goes to OT. But I think Sav are going to learn from this. They're going to go, we won 13-11. Let's do better.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out and with a chip on their shoulder.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be a good matchup, but yeah, Sav's gonna take her home.
Seal?
So it's all up to me. No, so I think AP can take this one home. I'm gonna cut the chase short. I think Rooney's a solid opper, and I gotta give love to the team that I was drafted on. Have Rooney shift over to AP. We played
Love
them
Rooney.
in the scrims of the preseason. I'm trying to remember where we
Is
played them.
Rooney opping? Because from what I heard, his spot wasn't guaranteed to be an opper when he first signed. So I don't know if he is.
When we played him in the preseason scrims, he opted. We played on Ancient, so he tried to play in house.
Yeah.
But I think Tim is great, and I think something you guys neglected in your awards for the season, and I think you could easily name this one after Trip Man. I think you get like the most improved from last season to this season. You're talking about a returning player who maybe didn't perform up to their snuff that's now coming out in this season and really showing why they deserve to be here. And
Yeah.
Trip Man keeps performing the way he did tonight.
It's hard not to give him most improved. But I think the reason we didn't do most improved last season was because a lot of people just joined in season 12. So looking at who performed like not as good in season 11, who performed above and beyond in season 12 was difficult.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to it this season. The Triple Man Award sounds nice. It'd be a shame if Triple Man didn't win it. The Triple Man Award, but Triple Man doesn't win it. I think Comeback Player of the Year. I want to say I have that locked up, but DeMar Hamlin can steal it from me.
I mean, he did die on the field. You had what?
I did
a
get
little
fucking
pinky
hurt.
injury.
No,
You had like a little bit of too much exercise lifting that finger when you're sipping your tea.
No, completely fucking tore ligaments on my wrist. But yeah, sure, I hurt my pinky.
Yeah.
We are happy to have you back, though, Enders.
God, it feels good to be
Yeah,
back.
speak for yourself. We'll see.
Why? I don't have to play him yet.
Well, I guess so. We're cooking up next UPS and OS here. I've got UPS without here, no question about it, in my personal opinion. I think Mick has got some pieces out there. I think their loss here tonight was really close. But I mean, OS, like I said, I think their real missing piece is Pets. And I think unless Pets comes out and has a game, I think this really goes into UPS's favor.
I think if Pets shows up good to play and he's opping well, that's good. But I don't. He played in the scrim and he did fine, but it's one of those things of he can be very hit or miss depending on the round, which is scary. It's not like he goes into a game, he's like, man, I'm not feeling it. It can switch between rounds, which is, for OS, a scary deal. Especially from your opper. But, I mean, UPS, Mickwick's got his team to buy in. Obviously hearing from that. He seems to have a good head on his shoulders in terms of what he wants to do. This could go either way and it wouldn't shock me, but gotta root for the slight underdogs, UPS.
Yeah. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My shit's just bugging. Yeah, I think OS is gonna take this as a learning experience. And I think they're gonna come out gunning. It's UPS. They can definitely beat OS. But I think if OS comes out, with a fire under their ass, like I think they will, I think OS is gonna get this win.
Yeah. Hector does seem to run a very tight ship.
Yeah. So we will see. Obviously how it goes. This will be a nice close matchup as well, in my opinion. But I
Yeah.
gotta go with OS.
Absolutely. I think both are valid. Both are really
Yeah.
close teams.
Yeah.
Seal?
Clancy.
Or
Oh.
Clancy? Either one.
I'm gonna go with Milky OS. Probably gonna be a close game, but I think
Yeah. I mean, they should. They should. But I also think they could have. I mean, it's going to be one of those games that's probably going to be 13-11 or go to OT.
yeah.
If it's a blowout on one side, that's shocking.
Yeah.
For sure. I
Low
don't see
seal?
it going to a blowout at all.
So I think UPS takes this. I do think it's close. I think we're talking a 13-8 scoreline. One of those where you just get a couple of rounds to go in, you finish 2 up at the half, and you just close those last 2 rounds out to get that. So 13-9, 13-8. I think it comes down to Mick's team is buying into his strategy, and they fragged well today, and it was Mick who was lacking a little bit.
I think the
That
thing
means
is, I think Mick has them ready to run through fucking walls for him. I'm not saying he's Dan Campbell for that team, but it sounds like he is.
And so if he can step up his game to match where they've met him, that's going to be the key. He's going to be the one to push that over the edge. He's going to be those extra frags to close out the round, to stop the defuse, or to prevent the plant. And that's where it's going to step up, and that's where UPS wins that one.
Yeah. Low seal, we'll come to this last one for you last.
What?
We'll come up last for you. I'm just saying they're in the arms race. I'd be shocked if Frog doesn't win this one. I don't think it'll be handily. I think Wet will put up a good fight. 13-9, 13-11, somewhere in that range. I think Frog does take it. I think Frog goes, "Oh, you thought we were, what do we have in 5?
Yeah.
And you had Wet above us? Oh, fuck no." And I hope that does light a fire under Jeff and Dewey and Penguins. And I hope Penguins comes out on a revenge arc and says, "Wet traded me? Nah, fuck you." I hope that happens. That's one of the ones we miss in the storylines for next week. Frog versus Wet, because of Wet trading away Penguins, him going to Frog. I'm excited to see Penguins show up, drop 20, and leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with I think it's just gonna be FRG, honestly. No offense, Lucio, but I think they are just the better team. You guys did get a 13-0. You mentioned earlier, you obviously run into a team that's not performing as good as they are. I mean, for them to not even get 1 round is crazy, right? But I think FRG is still gonna get this. I
also do agree. I love UCO, but I do think that just in terms of the pieces that both teams have afforded to them, I think Frog has more players that can take the reins versus Wet. But I think it's going to be an exciting game.
I'm gonna go against the grain. I think Wet takes it.
Okay.
We already know where Seal is.
So now, I think one thing that all of you are forgetting, the last major arms race that we had, 2 people were competing against it. one is still a superpower in this world, and one collapsed in the 1980s, 1990s. And that was the second team to start trying to commit to the arms race. They're not going to be able to compete. They're going to collapse. I'm just saying. Wet takes this one.
Wet. All right. That's everything we have on the docket. Lociel, any final words before we close this off?
Not much. Thanks for having me on, and wet dreams all the way.
Yeah, that's a statement. Noah,
Yep.
you want to close this? You want to give us some words before?
Yeah, I hope, glad to see everyone we were able to play tonight. Looking forward to the season. This is the start of a good one, start of a long one. I know
14
everyone's got a target on our back, and all I'm gonna say is I'm better than you.
No,
So,
you just lost to some birds. None of that.
no, that's Fuffy's thing. No, but on the real,
It's also Hawkish's.
GG's to everyone, and I really do look forward to this season. There's a lot of good competition out there, and I look forward to the games that we can play together.
Milky.
Jackson?
He died.
Damn, he died.
Clancy.
Yeah.
We'll come back to Milky.
I'm
Jeez, he
just glad we
died.
actually got to play. Obviously I had to play whatever virus I have in me right now. Which kind of sucks because
Blue game shit.
yeah, it's literally flu game because like 30 minutes before the game started, or like an hour before the game, like I did not think I was about to message you, hey,
Well, thank
have to
God you
get-
didn't.
Yeah, you have to get somebody, because like every time I stand up, like I would from my chair or my bed and I would stand up, dude, it felt like I spun around like 30 times. I was so dizzy. I don't know what
Damn.
it was. Yeah, dude, I felt like and so I grabbed two Tylenols and two ibuprofens and just sort of fucking jammed them down my mouth. That bucket we ball.
That's my star player.
Noah, you gotta invest in that Dayquil for Clancy.
Yeah.
Gotta just
I have
stock 'em up
that's
with
what
bottles.
it was.
Can we get him to take some NyQuil before the last match of the season?
No, let's not do that.
Milky, let's go to you. Any last words before we close this out?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you now.
Alright, we're chatting. I don't know what the fuck just happened there. No, I mean match day 1. It's exciting time. Still tons of season left to go, and I totally expect one of those bottom teams that we ranked today are gonna be like the Nan of last season. They're gonna come out.
Yeah.
They're gonna impress a lot of people with how well they do.
Yeah. Just before we end up signing off, shout out to Sequel. I own your poverty franchise. Jokes aside, thank you guys very much for providing us screenshots to the people who sent it in. Thanks to Lociel and Mickwick for coming on. We appreciate it very much. Thanks for going ahead and making last season of Weekly Recruit very enjoyable and giving us all the feedback. We're going to try and take that all in and work towards making this better. Thanks to Milky for staying late. I know you got to go to sleep. Thanks to Noah for joining on. Clancy, obviously, for recording and editing this shit show. Anything else I'm missing?
I don't think so.
Cool. We will see you all Wednesday when we record again. And guess that's all from us. Or not Wednesday, when we release again.
Yes.
When we release our next video.
Mhm.
But yeah. Thanks very much.
Give it a
Bye.
rub and
Have a good
rub
night.
up.